Hello and welcome to another episode of Solo Inter podcast and welcome back. Now, for all Inter fans, we know that Pazza Inter was a thing, and the second half of the season after the Christmas break, we always go down. But this year, we have been performing really well. And the regular viewers of this podcast know my theory. After 7 wins, we fuck up. Like we drop points. Somehow or the other, we don't perform. And this match, personally for me, and as Parmeshwar and Manish will vouch for it, like in our WhatsApp group, I was like, we are going to lose this. These guys are complacent. They are not doing it right. And apart from Barella, I didn't feel anyone else gave their all this match. I can't say it was tiredness because we are playing just one competition, and it was not a performance I am proud of. Like 3 points is 3 points, but unlike the match against Atlanta, which was 1-0, but it was a clinical performance. But this time, like we didn't shift out of second gear. With me, as always, as usual, is Parmeshwar and Manish. And Manish, coming to you first, like my personal thoughts, you know that I didn't feel like this performance was good enough. Like we were, I won't say we were lucky to get 3 points, but it just wasn't good enough from the team. Like if you're fighting for the title, you have to give your all. Like you have to like just crawl out of the pitch because you're given so much. And this time I felt like the team wasn't giving it their all. They didn't shift out of second gear. Like what were your views?
Yes, firstly, Gautam, like I want to say, I was spot on my predictions. I said I predicted a 2-1 victory, and Inter got a 2-1 victory. That's so cool. Also, like me and Parmeshwar discussed, we clearly gave out the game plan. Inter Torino is going to sit back very deep and defend with five-man defense, like Parmeshwar pointed out a couple of times, and we would have a lot of troubles breaking them. So that was exactly like how we anticipated the match, and it went quite as per the plan, So Torino sat really deep. And always I talk about, like my bold prediction was against Atlanta. I predicted a 2-0 victory. I also predicted a clean sheet. Although we didn't get a 2-0 victory, we got a clean sheet. But because, those type of attacking teams is what Conte loves. Conte loves to sit back and then release on a counter attack. But when teams defend and when we had to take initiative, that's where we kind of struggle. Also, we lost two of our creative sparks. One was Eriksen was missing, and Sanchez didn't start. So Eriksen was one of the main creative sparks which we didn't have for this match. So going into the match, like you said, the first half, we didn't have any shots on target. It was a very defensive display by Torino. And we also predicted that Torino is really strong in set pieces. So a couple of our predictions went really right. Uh, and I would say the defense initially, like we lost, Bastoni lost the guy on a free header. It hit the post. And we thought like, that's it could be a game like you pointed out, 7 wins and then we fuck up. So it was more headed towards that direction. So nonetheless, I think the game changed when Eriksen came on and Sanchez came on. We had those creative sparks. Hakimi was crossing blindly. I think a lot of crosses. It didn't reach anybody. So I don't know. It was seeming the old Spalletti's tactics, like just blindly crossing. It seemed like that. And I was surprised. Why did Ashley Young come on? Like that was like the whole game I was trying to anticipate why did he actually come, and as usual nothing much, pretty much the same Ashley Young with his back at the defender and passing back to Bastoni. He did that the whole season and pretty much he did again. So other than that, I would say Alexis Sanchez and Eriksen, when they came on, the game changed. And what a good performance by Lautaro in the second half. Eriksen combined with, I think he started off the process, which had led to the first goal, and second goal was by Sanchez. So both of them are clearly involved. For me, Sanchez was really good. And you could see that when he plays behind the strikers like a Trequarista, that is his real position. He has a lot of time on the ball, a lot of freedom. He can look around, pick his passes. And that ball which he crossed into Lautaro was really a delight. So this match, Gautam, like you said, it was quite challenging, and it's pretty much expected when teams sit back and when they fight for relegation, they're going to give the life defending. So it's, and like I said, it's good for us to win ugly and get the points. That's end of the day wins us championship. So it's not going to be easy for us from now on. While we say face the relegation sides, it's going to be really challenging.
Yeah, but okay, like coming to your thing again, like I wanted to know your opinion on this. Like for me, the goal should have been disallowed. Yes, VAR has been good like most of the times in Serie A, but this time you could see that I understand if Skriniar is sandwiched between two defenders, and then there is not a clear foul, you can't give a, you cannot like blow the whistle, but you could clearly see that Sanabria wasn't playing the ball. He just pushed Skriniar, and when the ball fell back to him, he scored because Skriniar was on the floor. The guy who he was defending pushed him, and if the ball fell back, if Sanabria hadn't pushed Skriniar, Skriniar would have cleared it. So do you think that should have been disallowed?
No, I was watching the highlights. Initially, I also thought like when you watch the replay, I think four players are down. Enter four of them. All the three center backs are lying on the floor, and it was quite strange. But once I saw the VAR, actually, I wasn't convinced that it was a foul. It pretty much it looked like a soft tackle for me. I know I could be wrong, but what I personally felt was that goal was right. It stood. Also, if you check the Sanchez's cross to the player Lautaro to head it, I think was it Hakimi? Hakimi blocked one guy and that guy fell out.
Yeah.
So I was worried about that could be called off because you never know. It's like so both the occasions I think the VAR didn't stand and it was fine for me. It was a normal call because I thought our players fell in quite easily. And we always said the threat is going to be set pieces, and I don't know we were sleeping in both the occasions. So for me, it was like pretty much the VAR was spot on in that. No
Okay.
complaints.
Yeah, Parmeshwar, coming to you now on your thoughts of the match, like, do you think if teams play similar to our strategy, if they play 3-5-2 and 5-3-2 when they're defending, it is tougher to break them down? Or is it just because they sat back and we didn't have a creative spark, like, till Eriksen came on? Like, as soon as he
Hmm.
came on, we scored a goal.
Hmm.
Like, also, people say that Gallardini went off, we scored a goal. But it was more like Eriksen was on the pitch and we
Yeah,
scored a goal.
yeah.
And once Sanchez came on, the spark, the energy was flowing, and we scored a
Hmm.
second goal. And also, I wanted to know your opinion as well on, do you think Skriniar goal was fair or not Skriniar goal? The foul on Skriniar was fair, or do you think that goal should have been disallowed? And your general thoughts?
So, see, coming to the match, as Manish pointed out, a lot of things to quickly look into. See, the way we previewed the Torino game is exactly how it panned out. Of course, I didn't go with a scoreline prediction, but the tactically, it was exactly how Torino set up. 5-3-2, and yes, I understand your point, Gotham. It can be frustrating to watch, us win like this, but I think the priority at this point is winning because as they say, beggars can be choosers. We haven't won a trophy at the end of the day for a long, long time. So the thing is that you have to put it in context as well because as Skriniar had said a few weeks after the Parma game, the Inter of past few seasons would have dropped points for sure in these matches. There's no doubt about it. And Torino used to be are one of our bogey teams before Conte took over. So that's one thing. With that being said, there were a few errors on our part, as Manish pointed out. Our crossing was really poor, especially Hakimi. I think I think what Hakimi was trying to do yesterday was just overthinking. I think he was too focused on getting it right and hence he just kept whipping them in, lobbing them in just blindly. And I think exactly that is why Ashley Young was subbed in. I know even I wasn't too sure why he was, but then I thought about it. And when you look at Ashley Young's career so far at Inter, he has had a few assists with crosses. It's not that he hasn't. He has had a decent number of assists with crosses. So I think that was the idea behind subbing Ashley Young in. But of course, it didn't work out exactly as planned, but that was the idea behind it, so I can understand. And also, let's not forget D'Ambrosio had a stomach ache, so he couldn't come off the bench. Otherwise, it would have been him and then Darmian at left wing back. So Stellini and Conte had to think along those lines. But yeah, I mean, see, Gautam, uh, I think up until the stupid penalty Izzo gave away has exactly why I said I never liked that guy, and I'm glad Conte didn't force Inter to buy him because he really likes Armando Izzo. They were really compact. They closed every half space possible, and Lianco, Bremer is the second top scorer with 4 goals, and it was just too hard. And Lukaku had that chance from a Perisic cross which hit his hand, and since I've brought up Perisic, I think Perisic was our best player in the first half, in my opinion, because he was actually making forward runs, and he put in those two crosses, one for Lautaro, which he headed wide initially, the early chance, and then Lukaku's handball thing. So I think Perisic had started well, but he faded quickly in the second half, and hence Conte tried to switch things up. And yeah, it was, and I think players like, I know, Gautam, you're usually critical of Brozovic, but I think what happened with Brozovic yesterday was that he missed Eriksen's presence alongside him, because he usually looks for Eriksen into space. Now they have that understanding, right? He needs to look for Eriksen in space, and Eriksen can play a combining pass. But Gagliardini doesn't do that. We all know Gagliardini is good off the ball, in playing a basic game in terms of winning it, but he can't play that incisive pass. He got two headers to score yesterday, simple ones. He couldn't even direct them on target. So that's Gagliardini. I think that's where Brozovic struggled. He really needed Eriksen. And with Barella, he ran his heart out. He won the most duels, but he is exhausted. You can see it. He is genuinely exhausted. And this is my only worry. One of my major complaints from yesterday is I know it was a tough situation. You're only 2-1 up, so Stellini decided to keep him on. I can understand, but he needs to be subbed in few games, man, because the international break will come up and Mancini is going to play him in every game. I'm pretty sure about that. Mancini will play him in every game, unless it's a dead rubber game at some point. So that's one thing. And just to touch upon something quickly, I think as Manish said, Eriksen made a huge difference. The pass that he played to Lukaku, it says it all. Like, Eriksen is so confident right now, and it was good to see Vecino back on the pitch, even though he was there for a bare few minutes. It's always good to see someone who's not played in a long time. And Vecino has had his moments at Inter. He scored winners for us. Whatnot, got us into the Champions League, scored the winner against Spurs. So it was good. I'm happy for Vecino because he really needed that, though he's only played for the Primavera team so far. So good to see him back. And I think where we could, and about the foul, coming to you, coming to the foul, as you pointed out, Gautam, initially I thought there was, a foul, like a clear foul, and I could see Zaza actually pushing Skriniar. And it was just a total chaos. Like, even Bastoni said in his post-match conference that he was flat on the ground, that he couldn't even see what happened. Like, Barella, Devre, everyone was on the ground. So he didn't know what happened, but you could see Zaza push him. But I think Skriniar went down a bit too easily, in my opinion. That's just what I feel
No,
like.
but I felt like Sanabria pushed Skriniar like directly without seeing the ball.
Yeah,
and I
exactly.
think we were too hell-bent on watching how Barella fell. Like, Barella fell
Yeah,
because it was a teammate who like bumped into
yeah,
him.
yeah.
So that wasn't a foul. But
Devre,
yeah, so
yeah,
then Skriniar was like actually pushed by Sanabria, and the ball
yeah,
fell where Skriniar would have stood.
yeah,
So I for me that was foul. But
yeah.
one more thing, like,
It is exactly. It's a very thin line between what you can give as a foul, because what happened is when Zaza had his hands on Skriniar's back. I don't know which Torino player it was, because you couldn't see. There was a Torino player already on the ground, right in front of Skriniar. Skriniar stumbled over him, and then Sanabria got the ball somehow and he tapped it in. So it was very chaotic. So yes, I can agree where you're coming from. It's a very thin line, as to how you can give it a foul or how you can't. But I mean, at the end of the day, we've got the 3 points. Like, I know, of course, we had to work for it, but and I think it's a blessing in disguise of sorts, because after Torino scored, it was way too late in the game. Like, I thought after a point where we are, like, to your point, we never win after 7 consecutive wins. I thought this is going to be like a draw or maybe even a loss. Never know. But man, Alexis, like, I was very surprised Alexis didn't come on soon. I was like, bring him on, because the first leg against Torino, he was the one who turned it around, 2-0 to 4-2. He made the huge difference, and he makes line breaking runs, passes, and he showed it, man. What energy him and Eriksen on the pitch, and it was right to sub Brozovic off, because I think he was so out of the game until Eriksen came that it was too late for him to fix it for himself. So he had to go off. And of course, Gagliardini also had to go off because he was on a yellow. So I think Alexis coming in made all the difference. What a peach of a cross, and you have to give credit to Lautaro Martinez. This guy's header is like, I don't know how he scored that. It's amazing. And for him, and I think Gautam, you pointed out initially that you felt it was only Barella who stood out for you. But I think if like, of course, we will delve into ratings and all, but I think Lautaro Martinez was again very good, because his pressing off the ball. I know yesterday we didn't have much to press, we had more of it, but I think he made his presence felt for most of it, and that header is not easy to cap off. And just to add some context to it, he's already had 14 goals in the league in 27 games now. That's his entire tally from last season. So
Yeah.
he has 11 more matches to go. He had 14 goals, 3 assists entirely last season. Now he has 5 assists, 14 goals. So that says a lot. So he has come a long way. He has grown a lot, and I'm happy for him. But yeah, just to cap off my overall review, I think Gautam, I'm satisfied with the result. As I said, yes, it was not the prettiest of games, but the Inter of old days would have definitely dropped points here, and you can't. And it's like, we know whom we are facing next. We will play one of our bogey teams again, Sassuolo, and we've not beaten them at home since Conte has taken over as well. So we need to again keep those things in mind, because this win is really important in that context. And to your point, we've broken that 7 win limit. We've gone to 8 now. So we can make it 9. We can, you never know how far we can go. So overall, I'm just satisfied with the win. 3 important points. I think it shows great resolve on the team's part. Yeah.
Yeah, Manish, like to bring what Parmeshwar said, like we lacked intensity, but somehow we scrapped the win. But like when these matches happen, like where teams sit back and we don't, when Eriksen's missing and Sanchez is not starting, our creative spark is missing. Do you think in such situations, like people like Lautaro, Hakimi, like Hakimi had a really bad game. So do you think these guys are trying way too hard, trying to break down and not doing the basics right? Like they get way more, I wouldn't say nervous, but they want something to happen. They're just tired of people sitting back and defending, and they try way too hard and then screw up their crosses.
Yes, I agree that. So, Gautam, thing is, we have a very standard pattern of playing. So it's easy for opposing teams to figure us. And Conti's formation is not very complicated. Yeah. So with this, what happened is pretty much everybody knows we rely heavy on a winger. So we rely heavily on Hakimi, we rely heavily on Perisic and Lukaku to get spaces. If you shut these three things, Inter are like clueless. Like you said, in the match, what happened is pretty much all teams sat back deep, and to be frank, I think Torino had better chances than us to score. Overall, if you check the amount of chance, I think they had better than us if they hit the post and stuff. So it was quite complicated. And Inter of old days would not have won this match, because if players like Vecino, Gagliardini, they're not the creative spark. We need players like more like Eriksen. We always begged for it. We wanted Eriksen, we wanted Sanchez, and this is why they make the difference. And all this while we say, like simple passes played, and but for Sanchez, I think give that vertical pass. I don't think any other player could do that. I don't think a player like what do you say, uh, Gladini or Vecino can do that vertical pass. We all normally do short horizontal passes, and we normally play from the wings. We heavily rely on the wings. Like now, when he played to the center, when Sanchez came, he started playing through the center, and that took everybody by surprise. And also, if you check, I think our wing backs were heavily marked. Hakimi couldn't get much. Hakimi was fully blocked. Barella was fully blocked. And we saw Skriniar as the third person coming the right wing and trying his best to cross. So pretty much they put all the heavy people on the wings and blocked us out completely. It was like Inter were clueless at one point. It's only like Sanchez, I think, last 10 minutes game, and he started playing through the middle, that made a difference. And saying this, I'm sure like any other Inter of maybe last season or last 2-3 years back would not have got this win. And that's credit to Conti, and he put substitution at the right time, because Sanchez, like he said, is a caged lion. We had to release him at the right point. When he plays in the beginning of matches, you might not see that impact, but maybe last 30 or 40 minutes when he comes in, we can see that he's a super sub. And I think he's like a trump card. We had to use him wisely, because he's not always fit. So whenever required, we had to throw the trump card at any point, Gotham.
Yeah.
Also, just to add to that subject, Gotham, about teams sitting back and defending, I think yes, it is like, it's not a weak point, but as you said, in as I just mentioned a few minutes, we try to overdo things in breaking them down. Like, the specialist of all teams in doing this is Udinese. There is no doubt about it. They drew with us in the first leg, and that is my only worry going into the last game. Exactly why I feel we have to wrap up the title race before, because we play them last at home, and they are definitely going to sit back, make it difficult, and so
But then again, like, do you think if it comes down to the last game, we
and
will be fighting for the title, and Udinese might be comfortable mid-table, and they might not be,
yeah,
they might not
yeah,
give it their
that's
all because.
Yeah, that's my only worry, because when the season began, they were really poor and they were in the relegation zone. And after that, they signed Deulofeu and everything. Rodrigo De Paul does his thing, and they stepped up, and now they're in a mid-table scrap. So that's my worry. Like, they'll be too focused if it actually comes down to the
No,
last day.
don't. I don't think he'll go up to the last day with the amount of points
Let's
we
hope
have
not.
lead.
Let's not touch upon
And I
it.
think
Let's
his
not.
second last match is against Juventus, so that would be
Yeah.
equally more important than
Yeah,
putting him
let's
down.
not let's not touch upon that. But yeah, I was just thinking about it. I feel that, yeah, it is. The thing is, yes, I can agree that we need to step up a bit in these sort of matches. Like, yes, you need to calm down and do the basics right. Like, Hakimi was so paranoid, like he was just whipping crosses blindly. And yes, Perisic was eventually marked out of it. But you have to give credit to these teams to some point, because I saw a lot of people criticizing us, and I was like, you need to give Torino credit for what they're doing. They're not just any team. At the end of the day, even if they're 18th, they want to. They're playing well so that they can climb out of the relegation zone eventually, right? They gave Juventus a hard time. They were 3-0 down at Atalanta. They made a 3-3 comeback. So you need to consider all the factors that Atalanta plays such an attacking brand and they drop points against Torino, but we actually ended up winning. So I think that's what matters most
So
eventually.
coming to Gotham, so one point,
Yeah.
Gotham, you asked when teams sit back deep, Inter finds it tough. Why?
Yeah.
Because one is Inter's a counter-attacking team.
Yes.
Inter thrives on spaces.
Yeah.
Hakimi loves spaces, Lukaku loves. But when you shut that, when you
Yeah.
double up on the wings, Inter find
Yeah.
it hard. So what I would personally suggest when teams sit back and defend like park the bus, that Mourinho's term, I would think we should use all three of our strikers: Lautaro, Sanchez
Alexis.
behind Lautaro, and Lukaku.
Recordista.
I think
Yes.
yes, I think because when teams sit back deep, bring them Alexis. Alexis is really
Mhm.
good behind playing as Terrorista. I feel that that's what should be our
Yeah.
strategy.
Yeah,
But I
so
think
that was
yeah.
my next question, and yeah, Parmeshwar, I think you can touch upon this. Like as Manish said, like we
Mhm.
have a plan A, we don't have a plan B. Conte's team
Yeah.
doesn't have a plan B. And yesterday, like Manish mentioned, like until Sanchez came, the ball wasn't going through the middle. And once
Mhm.
Sanchez and Eriksen came in, the ball was being
Mhm.
played through the middle, and that
Yeah.
resulted
Yeah.
in goals. So do
Yeah.
you think like without them being subbed in,
Yeah.
do you think that should be the plan B? Like because otherwise we are stuck if
Yeah.
someone just
I,
sits back.
Yeah, I understand that. Like, Manish has definitely made a good point that they could start. Sanchez can be like the trequartista behind Lukaku, Lautaro, because Sanchez and Eriksen both verticalize the game very well. Sanchez does it quicker. Eriksen picks out the right pass, so you have those variables over there going on over there. So both of them in such a game at the same time is what made the difference. But the thing is, what I feel sometimes is that if you start them, I think it becomes too obvious, in a sense that, I think other teams also know that, these are players who can break them down. So if they start, teams will know how to approach and take it to them as well. In that sense, they will start pressing us more, in my opinion. That's just what I feel. But yes, it is a valid point because we've never tried it actually against such a team. Like, we've never had Alexis start behind Lukaku and Lautaro in
No,
such a
but
game. So
what I was saying is like even without them, even without Sanchez
yeah,
starting, because if we start
yeah,
all three together, then we don't
yeah,
have substitute to like
yeah,
take them up.
exactly,
You can't replace them.
exactly.
So
Yeah,
Sanchez has to come in the second half because, as Manish said, he's
yeah,
a super sub. When he comes
yeah.
on, the defense is tired. He'll run around and he'll create the spaces.
Yes, exactly.
So while
Yeah.
starting, like if things are not going our way, do you think like
Mm.
people like Barella, Brozovic, who have the talent to
Mm.
make central plays, they should
Mm.
just forget about passing it to the wings all the time and play through
Mm.
the center?
Yeah, I mean, someone like a Brozovic definitely can do it. I trust Brozovic more with passing than I trust Barella. Of course, because in terms of accuracy is what I mean. Because I think Brozovic also has a knack of finding those incisive passes. It's just that he doesn't do it that often. And I agree with you, Gautam. Like, they can take that initiative, but I think the focus right now, the place where Inter is mentally, in a sense, is all about finding the right balance, as Conte keeps saying, right? You need to have the same balance when you're going front and behind, and he doesn't want to be giving away possession recklessly. That is exactly what happened in the first half of the season. We were out of shape, used to give away the ball anywhere possible. So I think that is, with that being in mind, I think that is exactly why Brozovic has cut down on his risky, risky, I mean, in a good sense, of course, risky passes, to find that incisive pass for Lukaku or Lautaro. But I think, yeah, it is not an easy thing. But I think, this is where that is what our plan B in a way is. I think you need to consider the fact that Conte is amazing at reading the game as it plays out. Like, he sees something, he makes the change, he makes those changes in patterns. Like yesterday, it was almost like a 3-4-2-1 in the second half, if the shape was noticed properly. After Sanchez and Eriksen came on. So I could see, like, of course, Conte had his brother with his mic again. He didn't yell at him, but he was pretty animated in the stands. If you saw those hilarious photos once again, so he was guiding Stellini. Stellini, of course, saw it. So I think for now we stick to this is like 3-5-2. Whoever it is, Eriksen starts, and then I think Alexis is best as a super sub. It has to be him coming off the bench, and by that time, as you just had mentioned a while ago, Gotham, teams get exhausted. Torino were exhausted defending like that because it takes a toll on you. So yeah, I think this is what we stick for the time being at least.
Okay, and coming to the ratings now, Parmeshwar, to you first.
Yeah, yeah.
Handanovic, how much would you rate him?
See,
Do you think? Do you
I think
think he could
Henderson.
have? Do you think he could have done better with the goal
So
scoring chance, or
So
was
yeah,
it not?
I will come to that. That's an interesting one. So I think to begin with, his distribution was on point. Yesterday, he didn't have a lot of risky things to do in terms of distribution, but he did it. He did his basics right. So that's a plus point. But coming to that goal, of course, me and Manish had pointed out set pieces are Torino's strengths, but I think somewhere Handanovic could have done better in all that chaos because not in terms of parrying it, but I think commanding the whole backline as a whole because there was total chaos. Devray took Barella out, like that should not be happening. Bastoni was floored, God knows how, and Skriniar was stuck in one position, and Handanovic couldn't do anything after that because I don't expect him to save that. That's too close and too close a reflex action to do. So I don't blame him, but I think he could have done better in commanding his area at least. So with that, keeping all that in mind, I think apart from that, he was okay. Like he didn't do anything wrong. So I would give him like a 5.5 or 6 because it seemed a bit dodgy that whole Torino goal thing. So I think I'll give him a 5.5.
Okay, Manish Skriniar.
Skriniar, I think he gave the interview before that. He told this is Conti's Inter, and he, like a lot of positive reviews. He started off well, but later on, I thought he had a very poor game because Simeon Verdi, I think, skinned him a couple of times, beat him. Also, he gave a tackle which led to the free kick, and I think after the free kick, Bastoni lost. So overall, the defense seemed a bit chaotic, if you ask me.
Hmm.
And Skriniar was initially started off quite badly. So I would say Skriniar 5.5 rating for this.
Hmm.
It was one of his. He could have improved in his performance, I feel.
Yeah, I
Hmm.
think for Devray also I would give a 6 because
Yeah.
yeah, he commanded his position really well, but he could have done better during the chaos. Maybe he was taken down and stuff was
Yeah.
happening, but like you said, like you command the area, it's your defending area. Like
Yeah.
you command the
Exactly.
area, and like referees, if even if there's a little nudge on any defender, they'll blow the whistle and
Yeah.
give us the ball.
Serie A, man. Serie A officiating.
Yeah.
Little legend.
So
Yeah.
I think you
Exactly.
could have
Sorry.
taken more command of the
Yeah.
situation, and somehow we could have come up with a clean
Hmm.
sheet.
Yeah.
So Bastoni
But
for you.
Bastoni, yeah. So I consider looking at your ratings, Manish and Gotham. Manish, of course, gave Skriniar a 5.5, and I agree with that because he didn't only get skinned like by Verdi, he also passed it to Verdi at one point to cross it, and he gave away the foul, which almost led to that chaotic moment
Yeah,
from which they scored. Bastoni slipped and all. That is one, but coming to Devray quickly, Gautam, I agree with you as well. But I think of the three, he was the best of the lot,
yeah,
Devray.
I agree.
Like he was a
I
bit
agree.
composed and he was still playing the right passes. And coming to Bastoni, I think I'll give him a like 5.5 as well. But I have certain factors considered because after Skriniar made that mess wherein he gave the free kick, Bastoni slipped and he let Lianco in. And if Lukaku didn't get the slightest of touch during the clearance, I think they would have scored on the follow up. Other than that, Bastoni slipped on that goal. I don't know how he slipped again. So that is one. But what I noticed for Bastoni is that he was one of those players who actually took the initiative to drive with the ball ahead. He played a lot of forward passes, in my opinion, and he was trying to find Barella, Brozovic, and Lukaku, but it wasn't working. But I could see the intent with Bastoni. But still, it was a very up and down game for him. So I'll give him a 5.5 max to max. Yeah.
Okay. So what about Hakimi, Manish?
Hakimi, like I said, I think now Hakimi is having his third or fourth off game. He hasn't
Hmm.
shined. I think ever since the last, I think he scored against Roma, I believe. I'm not sure which one he scored last, but ever since he's not playing that really well. Although he's young, it's not a I'm not criticizing him, but generally he started off very brightly. He started off slow, then he started off very good, and now again, a couple of shady performances where it's blindly crossing the ball. He needs to improve in his crossing, I would personally feel. So I would give a standard 6 rating to Hakimi. I think he's doing his defensive duties more well than his offensive
Yeah.
duties. But this game demanded more of his offensive skill. And when spaces are shut, pretty much Hakimi is clueless. So I would give a standard 6 rating for this.
Okay, so for Perisic, I would give 7 because I
Yeah.
think he had a good game. Again,
Yeah.
as like Hakimi on the other side, he wasn't crossing well and all, but Perisic did his job well. Like he
Yeah.
gave crosses, he was good in defense, he was good in attacking.
Mm.
Yeah, he could have done better, but after the overall performance of the team, wherein like
Yeah.
I felt like they never got out of second game.
Mm.
Perisic, I think he did a good job, so I would give him
Yeah.
7. And Barella now for you, Parmeshwar.
Yeah, I mean, Barella, as I said before, like he did all the running as always. Like there is no doubt about him covering ground. Like he just runs everywhere, and it can get reckless at times. But I didn't see that yesterday. He was fouled a lot yesterday, though. I have to say that. Like he was fouled way too many times, and he also won a few important interceptions. So with Barella, I would say he looked exhausted to me as well. Like he was very jaded as usual. I think there is a time where we need to start uh, subbing him sooner. I know Torino made it hard for us and we had to probably keep him on, but I think Barella overall was pretty decent. I would give Barella 6 to 6.5. I'll give him a 6.5.
Okay. And Brozovic, Manish.
Like I said, Brozovic, pretty much okay. He controlled the midfield. We had all the possession. I think we had 69% possession the whole game. But saying that we needed something more creative spark. So, and he had a okay, decent match. I would not criticize much Brozovic. I would give again a standard 6
Mhm.
to Brozovic.
Mhm.
Okay. Gagliardini, I would say 5. I don't want to be too harsh on him, but
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, if you're replacing Eriksen, who is confident as in and in form, he's a fan favorite, and you're stepping into his shoes right now, and you already know, like, people know you're going to fuck up or you're going to screw up. They expect, like, okay, you'll screw up and it'll lead to a goal. But yeah, saying all that, I didn't see him. I didn't know what he was doing. He wasn't an attacking threat. He didn't do much defensively. Brozovic was doing much of the things, and I think he was there making up the numbers. Usually, when you see Gagliardini coming into these matches, he gets too offensive. Like he came into the boxes like a couple of times, but couldn't convert.
Yeah. Mm.
So, like if you're given a chance, like you have someone like Eriksen now, who is a guaranteed starter, and you have a chance to like replace him, you have to show that yes, I'm also a goal scoring
Yeah.
threat.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he didn't. Like he had his chances, he scruffed it. So I would give him a 5.
Yeah. Okay.
So
I think
yeah,
Lukaku, I guess
Lukaku
I'll
for
go with
you.
yeah. So I mean, just to touch on Gagliardini quickly, I mean that's his ability at the end of the day. I mean, I'm not a big fan, but that's the best he can give us, like, right? And yeah, I mean, I agree with your rating. I won't do with that. It has to be a 5. I mean, but coming to Lukaku, I, the main thing I'll target first is the penalty. It's not any in such a high pressure situation. It's not easy to score a penalty like that. And to point out, he scored every penalty he's taken for us. Hopefully that continues. If in the future he has to take penalties for the remainder of the season and beyond that, hopefully continue scoring. So yet again he tucked away his penalty, and apart from that, I think his hold up play, it was there. It wasn't like it didn't happen a lot of times, but it was there. Like he held up the ball, he tried to get into good positions, and of course apart from that handball incident from Perisic, because I think he was pretty decent, but the goal counts for a lot. High pressure situation and overall a decent game, making life hard for Armando Izzo, who eventually fouled Lautaro because of him. So I would give Lukaku 7.
Yeah, I mean the one good thing about Lukaku is like he doesn't place his penalty in just one spot.
Yeah,
Over.
exactly.
So he keeps shifting it. So the keepers also is
Yeah,
like they don't know where he's
zone of
going to shoot. Yeah.
exactly.
So
Yeah,
Manish, Lautaro for you, the
Lautaro.
match
Yeah.
winner.
Lautaro finally, my personal man of the match. Very good performance last week. Also off the ball, he did a lot against Atlanta. Like he was covering for Vidal's mistakes. This now he scored the goal. He got the penalty, most of it, which Lukaku scored, and he scored a what a header. It's like those type headers you don't see anymore. Yeah, like it's really good headers. And overall, best performance I felt with Lautaro. It's maturing a lot. Initially, used to miss a lot of chances, but now these are the times where we had to take our chances, and Lautaro took his chance. I would give a rating of 9.5 to Lautaro. I've been critical of him this season, but still, the guy is quite young. He deserves a new contract, and personally, my man of the match for this game.
Okay. Yeah, my man of the match as well. And
Yeah, I
for,
will. I will go for Lautaro as the man of the match too. Yeah, it has
yeah,
to be.
and for Eriksen, I would give 8.5 because he came in,
Yeah.
brought the energy.
Mm,
They were lethargic till then. He knew what to do.
mm,
His link up play has improved so much,
yeah.
and he was
And
effective for the goal. So I would give him 8.5. Ashley
yeah,
Young
for
for
Alex,
you.
I'll if you don't mind, I'll go for Alexis Sanchez because I
Yeah,
think
of
he was the
course.
next. Because of course he was one of those difference makers. So I give him, because you've given Eriksen an 8.5. I would give Alexis, just top it off a bit and give him a 9, because I know of course he didn't play a lot, but that assist means a lot. Like you could see the confidence and the energy he brought in, verticalizing the game. We already spoke of it, so I just have to give him a 9. And Manish, how would you go with the rest of the subs if you quickly wanted to? Because I don't
Ashley
think.
Young, I
Yeah, Ashley
believe
Young to
Yeah.
begin with,
nobody
because
else.
he played a lot. Yeah.
So I got the honor of doing the player of the match. I think Ashley Young also for the flop of the match. He would definitely contend with Gagliardini. But Ashley
Hmm.
Young, I think his time is up at Inter because
Yeah,
he's
yeah,
no more going to cross. He's
definitely.
no more going to score. He's going to give those cheeky penalties by his pace is quite slow. So anybody gets ahead of him is going to drag him back. So he's been more like liability. And ever since he came, I think I don't know what he did, what contribution, nothing positive to note of. So I would go with a 5 rating for Ashley Young. And I think pretty much this is going to be the last performance for we are going to see him in an Inter shirt with his contract getting over.
Gautam, how much would you rate Darmian quickly? Because he did come on for a tired Hakimi.
Yeah,
He didn't have
Darmian.
much
Yeah, nothing much to do. So I wouldn't actually rate Darmian
rate.
or
Fair
yeah,
enough.
because it was too late to be effective. So
Yeah,
he
and
just
same
did
for
his yeah,
yeah,
same for
and same for
Vecino.
Vecino. Same for
Yeah,
Vecino. He didn't do much, but it's just good to see him back on the
Good to
pitch.
see
It
him.
gives us an
Definitely
option
good to
until
see him
Vidal
back.
is there. Yeah,
yeah.
good to
So
see him
let's
back.
just say
And he
like
did
they
a couple
came.
of late runs, I think, which was
Yeah,
Yeah,
really
I
impressive.
mean they came in, they didn't screw up, they held their composure. So I would
yeah,
say
fair
let's
enough.
just give them both of them 5.
5, or we don't have to rate them. It's just good to
Yeah,
see
don't
them
have to
just
rate him. Yeah.
fill
Yeah.
in the numbers or whatever. But good for Vecino, happy for Vecino. I think that was the players, and let's rate the coach and the team performance. So if I just had to rate Stellini and Conte, because I think Stellini, he's not lost a game whenever he had to take over. So that's a good sign. And Conte keeps on guiding you. Like he was going nuts on the stands. Like he lost it. But I think overall it was okay. It was decent. Like it's fine. We got the 3 points. I would give them both a 7, I think. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I would
How
give them
about you,
7 as well.
Manish?
Conti and Salini, yes, I would give same 7.
And the
But
team
I think
performance?
team performance, it was quite poor. I would give around 6.5, unless the last 10 minutes, the first half, we had 0 shots on target. So I'd give a 6.5 for the team
Got,
performance.
I would
yeah.
go even lesser and say 5.5 because the intensity was missing, and till Eriksen and Sanchez came on, they were lost clueless. But yeah, I would still say 5. Okay, let me say 6.
Yeah. For me, I mean, I agree with both your points, but for me, the resolve the team is showing each and every week stands out, and I would hence give it a 6.5 to 7, something along those lines. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so now coming to the news this week, Parmeshwar, coming to you first. Like Eriksen had a lot to say. Yeah, he was injured and he was back effective in the match as we spoke. Like, what do you make of his statements in the press?
So, of course, Eriksen yesterday couldn't start, and understandably so, of course, Gautam, because you don't want to, when Vidal especially is out for a month, you don't want another important midfielder being injured severely, or we can't afford to aggravate his injury. And yeah, I was glad he was subbed, he was benched in the first place, and yet again he proved to, he came off the bench, he made the difference. We discussed everything, but yeah, coming to his interview recently, first things first, he's been called up with the national team. So let's hope everything is goes well once he goes there and comes back in good shape. But yeah, he made a few interesting points. First to begin with, uh, I guess it makes every Interisti happy that he said that he's happy over here right now. He said that he's in the right frame of mind, he's in the right shape, he's very happy to be here. So that's, I think that's one. And I think he always he also mentioned that when all that saga was going on, around January, in January, and when he was not playing, that he was on his way out and he wanted to leave. So a lot of journalists at that time, even the reliable ones, when Pepe Marotta had actually said that Eriksen doesn't fit our tactical plans, and what Pepe Marotta had actually said that is he may leave in January, not that he will. But a lot of journalists circulated the news as he will leave in January, and they said that Eriksen has asked to leave, but he had never asked to leave. That's the reality, and that's what he said. I never wanted to leave. I never wanted to escape Inter, were his words. I wanted to fight for my place, and that's what he has done. We can clearly see that. And he said that when things were hard on the pitch at that time, off the pitch it wasn't a hard time. Like he loved life at Milan. He liked the people, the players around him. There was this thing going on. I just like to point out that there's a fake Christian Eriksen Facebook account that looks like a proper official account, even though it doesn't have the blue tick. So people actually believed the posts wherein there was a post captioned alone. So people actually fell for it and thought that he's depressed and all. But luckily many people understood that it was a fake account. So but he was never someone who gave up. Like that's good to see. Like I genuinely thought, with so much rumors and everything going around, and when Beppe Marotta openly said he doesn't fit our tactics, I thought he was done. And we all thought he was done. Like, I felt bad for the guy. I was like, for your own sake, please leave the club, man, for your own good. But I'm glad to see that turned around. And he said, also what he said, Gautam, is that mentally when you don't play, it is difficult. And I think almost every footballer feels that way, because when you're we all know what Eriksen has done over the years. He's not won a major trophy, but we all know what, like, apart from Ajax, but we all know what he's capable of, right? Like, we know the quality player he is. So when that kind of player gets benched, Gotham, it is hard mentally, but he still coped up with it. And he also said that he wants to give more to the team. Like, he is in the right frame of mind, as he said, but he completely understands that he needs to be doing more. And I think that's where he can maybe start adding a few more assists to begin with. I know it's not easy. His new role is again based on balance, like, you know, even more defensive chores than usual, but maybe he wants to add an assist or two, and he wants to maybe get himself a goal. That and he also said this, that since I mentioned goals, he said that things basically became rosy after he scored the free kick against AC Milan. Like, he said it, like, things started going well, and he actually said he was a bit lucky to score that free kick. I guess he's too humble and he's too nice a guy to say that I'm too good with free kicks, because yeah, he said he was a bit too lucky with that. And yeah, he said that in general that match was the turning point for him, like, and I think it's evident because after that, every game he played, he started since then, and he's been amazing. Like, he's never put in a disappointing performance. And he, lastly, just to cap off what he said, as that he's like, just in more perspective with life as a footballer, he said that he, at this point, because this was, I think, in at his this spell at Inter has been one of his not low points, but he's probably struggled the most ever in his career from this standpoint, from getting benched. So he said that life as a footballer goes on very fast, and he now realizes that you have to take it day by day, and he has a better perspective on where he needs to improve and where he has improved. So I think this is huge, the fact that he realized this, that because we all know he's 28. And yes, of course, that's still young in a way, but and midfielders do last long, but still, you get, I guess, people understand what he means. So I think he has a better understanding of things now. He understands the overall scenario better, what he needs to do as a footballer, how he needs to live in, as a part of Inter. And I think he's in a better phase mentally and physically, and that's just good to see. I'm happy for him. And he is definitely now he is the owner of that left center mid position, and it's just amazing to watch, man. I hope this good form continues. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's happy when Ericsson is on song and, like, he's effective. Manish, coming to you, like, the other important player, Lautaro, he said, like, contract negotiations are going on and stuff like that. Like, what do you make of that? You think he'll sign with us? Like, now the Barca distraction is done, and he's crucial for us.
Yes, Lautaro for us, for our project, the future project, it's really one of the main pillars of our future. He's just 23 years old, and I think it's about time he deserves a good contract. And For me, I think for everyone, he was definitely the man of the match. And when they asked him like question, what do you have to say about this performance and stuff? He said, "This game, we prepared it so well, and this game deserved like we had to work from a heart and soul rather than more than tactics and stuff because every mentally it's a very tough game." And end of the day, he proved it. He scored a good goal, and he was very happy. When asked about the contract, he was again calm. He told, "Yes, I know Inter has some financial issues at the moment, but definitely it'll be sorted out." And I think currently he's getting 2.5 million, which he deserves a much more higher pay. And now talks are going on for 4.5 million till 2024, the new contract. That's what the Gazzetta dello Sport is reporting. And main thing for the new contract is to remove the release clause. We had a release clause all till now, till 111 million. But when he signs a new contract, that'll be removed, which I think is really good. But saying that Inter are like the rumors say, Inter are in search of selling some top players for funds. So will Lautaro be the one to be sacrificed? We don't know, but definitely he's still young and he has potential to be as good as Sergio Aguero in the future. And like Parameshwar pointed out earlier, he has already matched the last season's tally of 14 goals, and now we have still 11 games to play. So this season could be his personal best for Inter.
Yeah,
Also,
and
just to add to the stats, sorry Gautam, I just wanted to bring this out about Lautaro. Those 14 goals, it's pretty impressive how well-rounded he is because 5 of them are from his left foot, 5 from his right, and 4 from his head. So it shows the growth overall in general. And just wanted to point something about the strikers. While Lukaku has 19 goals and 8 assists, and Lautaro, as we said, 14 goals, 5 assists. Sanchez now has 5 goals and 5 assists. So I think the attacking department in general is now rounding up, and
And
it's just good to
and
see.
yeah, and Parmesh, one more thing which Lautaro said in his interview, it doesn't
Yeah,
matter who scores, and as we
who
win.
scores
And
exactly,
and I
exactly.
think the harmony between the three strikers,
Yeah,
like Sanchez,
the
obviously
celebration.
yeah, the Sanchez obviously being, like a much senior player, and he
Yeah,
has accepted the role. He's a super sub for Lautaro and
yeah,
Lukaku.
yeah.
And between them, the understanding and the celebration, it says a lot. And now, whenever Lukaku scores or Lautaro scores, both celebrate together. That bond between them, it's a
Mm,
cherish to watch.
mm,
I hope
mm,
these two we keep in the center of our future plan. Yeah, Lukaku and Lautaro, and build the team around them. That'll be really good.
yeah, and like you said, like news always comes like if everything is going well, I think the press is trying to destabilize us or put more pressure on us because the news came about Hakimi as well, like, oh, it's not going to happen and Inter might have to sell Hakimi. Like, I don't know from where these guys get it. They just want to destabilize us. And now, even if you see the news about Sunning, they say
yeah.
that they don't even want to sell majority now. They just want minority stake. And you have PIF coming in for valuing for 300 million for 30% or something. And that solves everything. Like, when these things happen, you know that, and the players themselves have said, like, we are not playing for money, we are playing for passion. I think it was Bastoni who said that. Like, we are playing
And
for
yeah,
passion.
Bastoni. Even Skriniar. Yeah.
Yeah, and Skriniar fired his agent to. Like, I think you mentioned that in the previous podcast when
Yeah,
Skriniar fired his agent to renegotiate
yeah,
his own contract. So this is a question for both of you. Like now we have a group which even the youngsters are saying we're playing for passion,
yeah,
and
yeah,
you can see the camaraderie, you can see the brotherhood between these guys.
yeah.
And if you see the core, like you have Bastoni, you have Barella, you have Skriniar, you have Lautaro, you have Lukaku is a bit older, but yeah, he's still in his 20s. And you have these people who are forming the core of the team. Do you
Mm.
think, Pamesh, I'll come to you first with this. Like, do you think this forms, like we can form a long-term project with these guys? Yes, obviously after this season, where like Lautaro has like a breakout year and stuff like that, and Barella is being known worldwide now. Like previously, no
Mm.
one knew who he was, and now suddenly Barella is a
Mm.
name. Like Skriniar is like
Mm.
was
Mm.
quoted by Tottenham, and luckily it didn't
Mm.
happen. With these things, which these distractions coming on with teams, with clubs that can pay 3 times our salary just to get them,
Mm.
but this core that have formed a friendship, brotherhood, camaraderie between them. Do you think we can build a long-term project with these guys?
Yeah, yeah. So that's an interesting perspective because you can add so many variables to it, right? Gotham, the financial situation and whatnot. But as you know, first of all, it's it's a general tendency of the media, like outlets like Corriere dello Sport and any English media to just use those two words, financial problems, stick it behind any transfer rumors, and then just say that Inter have to sell players. Suning is looking for investors, be it minority, majority, for a reason, right? Because the thing with Suning is, Gotham, we all know that Sporting Vision, it's amazing, and that their idea is to hold on to all these key players, right? So in a way, Suning staying on with, even if they get minority owners, will be idealistic in terms of our sporting project. And now coming to the core players you're talking about, Gotham. See, Bastoni said that, in his interview of late, that, he believes that this is a long-term project. He wants Conte for years to stay. He was surprised that Conte promoted him so soon, and so I think yes. And the thing is, yes, I'm not gonna be overconfident and anything and say, that, oh, this guy won't leave, that guy won't leave. At the end of the day, we don't know. But I think at this point, Gotham, we are a club that can fend off interest, can retain our players, and that is also one big reason is Antonio Conte, because most of these players have joined because of him, want to play for him. So him staying put, first of all, is key, because we know he's a bit unpredictable, but I think he will stay in most cases, unless something unforeseen happens. But I think he will stay. But coming to Conte, Hakimi signed because of him, because you know it's so what do you say, fitting, Hakimi wingback, Conte, he loves wingbacks. Then Lukaku, of course, signed because of him, even though he's in his late 20s, but he's still on that younger side, if you know what I mean. Lautaro, he's admitted openly that Conte locked him up in a room, of course, had to talk to him, and talk to him in general about a lot of things, life, football, and knocked sense into him and helped him grow. There's so many players. Barella is grown tremendously, man. What do you say? Skriniar finally understood his back three role. Devray has always been good under Conte. So Handanovic, yes, he's old, but his ball playing to an extent improved, in my opinion, under Conte. He trained well. There's just so many positives to take from this project at Inter right now. So I think there is a really good chance, and to build a future with this squad. And there is always a narrative going on around Gotham that our squad is too old, apparently. I don't get it. See, the problem is, yes, many teams have and people these days like a younger team for some reason, and I can understand the perspective. Even I like players with more future potential and everything. But the thing is, had we had a younger team, Gotham, and had we not won this, had we not been at this position for the Scudetto race, they would have still bashed us. Okay, so that's the media. We have an average age of around 28, if I'm not wrong, 28.1 or something, and that's not bad. That shows you have a good balance of experience and young players, because as we have Lautaro, Bastoni, we know who all for the future. Kolarov is not going to stay at the end of the season. Ashley Young is not going to stay. So I really don't see where the problem is in terms of our team being aged. I don't see why people make a fuss of it. And I think with that being said, our project is well balanced. Leaving the financial issues aside, that uncertainty aside, the team's pretty much set. I know Perisic, we can only hope he keeps on doing this well as the left wing back. But we'll probably go in for a left wing. We'll probably go in for a vice Lukaku if the finances permit eventually. And yeah, overall, Gotham, in my opinion, the team is pretty sorted. Like there are only two, 3 areas that need to be fixed, and this can definitely be a good long-term project, because as fans, for the so just sorry to drag on, but just for the neutrals, Gotham, it's for those that don't follow Inter constantly, it's not a dig or anything. They don't know how it goes on in terms of the sporting project at Inter. As fans, you, me, and Manish, and many other Interists, we have seen the vision, we have seen the growth at Inter. That's what I'm trying to say, right? So we know that this core can go long places, they can stay, and as you said, mentioned Gotham earlier, these players already clearly said they don't play for the money, they play for the crest. And these are not just statements made in the air, they are actual proper statements,
Yeah.
because Conte has kept them together, and everything is it's the morale and it's the project, the belief in the project. And they don't even mind being paid late, like I just was reading that they'll finally get their salaries for January and February tomorrow. So yeah, I personally, in my opinion, I don't know what others think, but I do see a good project in hand, in terms of Suning's vision and everything. Yes, the only uncertainty, as we all know, remains the financial side of things, and I really hope that gets resolved. But but in terms of leaving that aside, I'm convinced that this is a very exciting project, and the players are here to stay. Yeah, that's my opinion.
Yeah, Manish, same question to you as well, because Conte also surprisingly has said that he wants to stay and he wants to build a project here, and he has his players now. Like he has a young squad who have, like even people like Eriksen and Skriniar, as Parmeshwar mentioned, who got to know their roles, even Perisic for that matter. Like people who have actually improved their gameplay under Conte. They were one-dimensional and now they're multi-dimensional after working under Conte. And with Conte saying that he wants to say, and Marotta, he is a mastermind when it comes to off-field tactics and strategy and stuff like that. So, how do you feel like this project will go on?
I think Parmeshwar covered quite a bit extensively. Nothing much to add on it. He covered it, but just to put my 2 cents into it. Suning started a project, and it's a very well project. And I think when Zhang came itself, he had a vision Inter to be on par with Bayern Munich, Barca, Real Madrid. When he came in, that was really good, and he signed the right people at the management. It starts from there. Getting Marotta was, for me, one of the best deals ever we made over the last decade, because that guy's vision, his ideas are really good. A lot of people hate him for his past, but end of the day, he's just it's a pure master in his field. And we getting Marotta, that was a game changer, because I'm sure without Marotta, Conti would never join Inter. And when he got Conti as part of his project, and everything came step by step, and both of them had a vision to get young players. Specifically, they wanted at first young Italian players. That's why we got Barella, we got Sensi. At one point we wanted Tonali. So the core was Bastoni. The core was to get young Italians, and then the team has a spine, has a core. If you get a lot of foreign players, it gets difficult. Now that a team has a good core, and it's really good, everybody gets attached to the core. So on a sporting project wise, yes, we are very good. And last season, what complaints Conti had basically was we didn't have much of the experienced players. We had a lot of young players which had never played at this level. So the older players, they bring the younger players in line. Like also we have seen the situation with Zlatan Ibrahimovic when he came to Milan. Everybody, the young players started following him. He was like a leader off the pitch and on the pitch. Him being on the touchline itself makes a big difference. Same way, getting a lot of these experienced players. And Conti stressed upon it. He told last week, Kolarov, although he doesn't play much, he's been fucking around a lot when he's played. But when off the pitch, he has been like a mentor to a lot of young players, and players look up to him because Kolarov has won a lot and he's very experienced. So Kolarov, Arturo Vidal, Sanchez, these guys, it helps the young players develop a lot. So I'm very happy with the project so far. Like Parmeshi pointed out rightly, we just short of financial issues, but once that gets sorted out, I think Inter the project is next level. The revenues have started coming in. The Chinese market has opened. Like overall, if this what do you call for this COVID situation wasn't there, Inter would be right at top. I feel right now, and and everybody wants to buy Inter because Inter is like pretty much not guaranteed as champions, but if they are champions, the market value of the club overall goes 10 notches high. So overall, good project, Gotham, and we're building good core. Happy with everybody's, mostly Conti and Marotta's involvement in this project has been hands-on. So we have all the players.
Yeah,
Perfect.
and here's one more thing which just popped in my head, and I want to take both your opinions on it. Like for me personally, like okay, it's Antonio Cassano. So his comments and stuff, like what I feel is like, see, he's a hardcore interestee. Like he has said it, like he's an interest and he wants to do good for Inter. Manish, speaking with you here, like, do you think like he has become like one of us, like all of us other Inter fans, and become superstitious and is doing reverse psychology? He's like slating the team, he's doing all this, but back in his mind is like, okay, I hope Inter wins. Or do you think like he's gone completely mental?
Cassano as a player, I really appreciate him, but the fact is he's a mental player. Everybody knows that off the pitch. And I remember one of the interviews of Cassano when he was playing for Inter. They asked Cassano, "Who's your best teammate? Who's your best friend at Inter?" And to his surprise, to everyone's surprise, actually, he said his best friend is Yuto Nagatomo. So they asked him why you were best friend with him. He's saying because he cannot understand what I speak. I cannot understand what he speaks, but we talk for hours. So that's a small anecdote of that shows the mind of Cassano. As a player, he's good, but his comments are crazy. It's fun to hear. But a couple of good points also he had pointed out earlier. He said Eriksen should have played as a register and stuff. Why not? But generally, that guy is really crazy guy. So don't buy by his words. He talks a lot of crazy things, and but it's fun to hear. And this type of characters are required in football, yeah. Because at the end of the day, football is too much of a serious sport, and we like this type of comments and this type of characters, him, Vandanara, and this type of characters. They add a bit more excitement to the football league and talk shows.
Yeah, Parmeshwar, coming to you, like, it's
Yeah,
funny that you mentioned Vanda Nara, Manish, because
yeah, because
when she was
we don't
there,
need.
yeah,
Yeah,
when she was there in that studio, Cassano is like to have a go at her every single time for the Icardi thing, and
yeah, hilarious,
like he
hilarious.
used
Yeah.
to take a case every time, and now you see like he's become like, I don't know,
Mm,
he's become like the male Vandanara or whatever, but he's been like slating it for no reason. Like he's
yeah,
not happy for anything. Like even wins, no
anything.
matter what. Yeah, he's just being more critical. Do you think it's reverse psychology and he
Yeah.
thinks like if it does this, Inter is going to win?
Hmm. So it's neither. First of all, just to talk about Vandanaram and Manish, when we had a loads of problems. So I'm someone who doesn't need such characters, man. At least associated with Inter. But Cassano, I think Gotham. He's first of all, he's neither dumb, no, neither he's being superstitious. In my opinion, he's just an attention seeker. I saw a lot of comments. As you said this, as you were asking Manish, it just popped in my mind. And many people said this, it's not only Cassano, the legendary Beppe Bergomi also, he's also been very critically. That guy was on Eriksen's case, like, since from the day he landed in Milan, man. Like, the guy hadn't kicked a ball, he was on Eriksen's case. And there is a difference between the two. I think this is what Nima had said, that Beppe Bergomi, he analyzes and he is critical in a way. And he might be a bit too harsh in our opinion, but he analyzes it and he says it. But Cassano, he's just a pure attention seeker. He speaks nonsense for just grabbing attention because he comes on all these crazy shows. He comes on Vieri's podcast, and if you have a podcast with Vieri and Cassano together with Ventola, it's just batshit crazy. All these crazy guys together. It makes no sense. So I don't
Also,
pay them.
the podcast is Daniel Adani, that guy,
Yeah,
another one.
Adani. So yeah, sorry, completely forgot. So that's even more batshit crazy. I think Ventola is the only sensible guy in there, but yeah, uh, yeah, I mean, see, these are just attention seeking moves. Like this guy, he said he doesn't like Barella, he doesn't like the way interplay, he doesn't like Conte. Like, what is your problem? Like, I don't get it. Like, what do you not like? Like, there is clearly everything to see that we are playing well. The Barella has grown leaps and bounds. So what is there to not like? Unless you're biased, and that is what it is. I don't think it's superstitious. And he is an Inter fan at heart. We all know that, and he wants the best for the club. But I think this is just an attention seeking move because Cassano, as a player, we all know he was controversial. He did controversial things. Manish gave an example of the Nagatomo example. That was hilarious. And so this guy, he's just looking for ways to stay relevant, in my opinion, even like back with Vandanara. Even though back then, whenever he was anti-Icardi, he used to make a lot of sensible points. Like, and many people used to doubt him, but now we can see he was a bit like right in that in terms of Icardi's attitude. But the only thing sensible he said, as Manish said, is about Eriksen, that Eriksen should have been played in a different role. But other than that, it's been just,
Just
I don't
bullshit,
know,
yeah.
just yeah, just
He
bullshit. Because
also pointed out one thing is like he said Ronaldo, Juventus made a
oh
big
man,
mistake, and Juventus
mm,
got 10 steps behind signing Ronaldo,
yeah,
and the moment they sell Ronaldo, Juventus will thrive. So like,
yeah,
it's attention seeker end of the day. Comments,
yeah,
Gotham.
yeah,
Let's
exactly.
not
And
take him
he's
serious.
he's never happy. He's never happy with any player. He's taken shots at Lukaku for like Lukaku puts in a man of the match performance. This guy has always something negative to say. So yeah, it's just an attention-seeking move, Gotham. And I think, just to put it out, I don't think any Interisti should take Cassano seriously, and for that matter, any neutral fan as well. Because whenever I saw when like on my personal football groups and everything, a lot of people take Cassano's comments seriously and they get riled up big time, especially when he says something about Ronaldo. And I just sit back and I have a laugh because I'm like, because I've followed Cassano, maybe you guys haven't, and it's just hilarious. The guy is taking a piss out of everyone, and yeah, it's just better to ignore him at this point.
All right. So there we have it, folks. That was another episode of Solo Inter podcast. Do let us know in the comments, what do you think of Inter score? Do you think who we should get in, who should transfer out? Do you think the age group is too old? Is it the right thing? Do you think Conte should continue? All right. So we'll catch you before the Sassuolo game. And till then, Forza Inter.
Forza Inter, guys.
Yeah, for the Inter.